Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of The Walking Dead, Dead City. It was called Everyone Wins a Prize. And as it starts, Negan has a flashback to his sanctuary days, during which we see that at one point he learned from Simon that the CROAT was starting to get a little nuts, even for Negan, as he tortured a miner for information, which was against sanctuary policy and which Negan found quite disturbing. Back in the present, the group learns that Luther is missing. They don't know where he is. This occurs as they're preparing to go on their mission. Turns out, though, that Negan is hesitant about facing the CROAT because he knows he'll be hearing echoes of the past, a past he's trying to distance himself from and live down. When they head out of the building on their way to wherever they're going, just before entering the subway, one of the group members points out to Maggie that methane is coming up from the sewers through the grates in the sidewalk. And we learned about the methane last episode. Negan, Maggie, and other group members have to walk through part of the subway, stepping over walker bodies. And it seemed like one of the walkers saw them but didn't bother to get up, which was weird. They come out of the subway into some kind of a building that looks like a prisoner visitation facility, in which they check rooms looking for Herschel but don't find him, and instead find someone else who's tied to a chair and who had been killed there and turned while tied to the chair. For some reason, Maggie has taken Negan's matches and denies knowing where they are when he asks. But then when she looks in her own bag at the memory stuff she was looking at in the previous episode, she shoots Negan a look and he says something like, "I can explain." But he's prevented from doing so by her because she shuts him down. Now, I don't know quite what that was about. But anyway, next, the CROAT is talking with one of his minions at what looks like a TV studio. And suddenly he hears Negan whistling the whistle. Meanwhile, Maggie starts to steal a car from the CROAT's motor pool, but stops when she sees Ginny, who takes off after seeing her. Simultaneously, the CROAT's trying to find Negan, who's hiding from him in the same car that Maggie almost took. A CD that was put into a machine in the TV studio starts playing music all over the CROAT's facility, and when a candle melts down somewhere in the building into a barrel, the barrel explodes alongside a number of other barrels around the same building, and a bunch of walkers flood the building when holes are blown in it, trapping Maggie and the other group members in the arena. So they start fighting off the walkers hand to hand, which leads to them climbing into the octagon from the previous episode, and then grabbing the bumpers off the cage walls to make their way out of the arena, fending off the walkers. Negan and the CROAT face each other, and after some bloviating, the CROAT tells Negan that he knows why he's there, and it turns out that he means the Marshal, at which point Negan has to explain that he's really there for Herschel. The CROAT says that getting Herschel back will require a conversation, and he throws the Marshal over a railing in an attempt to kill him to get Negan to trust him, since he knows that the Marshal is after Negan. But before the Marshal can fall to his death, Negan goes to help him, and when he does, the CROAT shoots at him with some kind of hook on a line from the gun that he's been carrying, the piece of hardware that's acting as a weapon, making it hard for him to get away with Negan after Negan falls him over the railing, saving him from falling to his death. Meanwhile, Maggie and the other group members realize the only way they can get out is to go through the sewers, which we know are full of methane. After Negan and the Marshal get to safety, the Marshal gets the drop on Negan and is apparently intent on taking him down still, which Negan reacts to by saying, "You're a dick." And that's where the episode ended. So I like this episode. I like that we got to see exactly what kind of things the CROAT was up to that put Negan off and made him decide to try to take him out. And, of course, I like the scene with all the walkers and how they were fighting them off. One thing I'm starting to be concerned about, though, is the presence of Ginny. Because, well, a number of things could happen. First of all, she could die, which I would hate because it would devastate Negan and probably send him down a spiral where he backslides into the old Negan in a more permanent way than we saw him a couple of episodes previously when he killed that guy with a knife. And I would hate that for him. She could end up not dying because he sacrifices himself to save her in a particular moment, which, if it were to occur, I would envision it occurring in such a way that he ends up saying, "Remember, Maggie, you promised me you'd take care of her." And then Maggie ending up having to actually follow through on that promise. which would be an interesting twist if it happened like in the last episode, for example. And I would kind of hate that as well. I don't want Negan to die, but I think if he goes out heroically, if he has to die and he goes out heroically, I'll like that better than if he goes out some other way. Another way it could go, and I don't think this is very likely, but another way it could go is that Maggie sacrifices herself to save Ginny and tells Negan to look after Herschel, and then which he would agree to do, which I think would be her sort of way of sort of blessing him with her forgiveness by trusting him to raise her kid. And, in a certain way, I would like that very much if Maggie has to die. I prefer that she not die, but I think that's a possibility. I think Ginny's presence there really sets up an ending to this where not everybody lives, be it her, be it Maggie, be it Negan. There's also the possibility that Negan or Maggie sacrificed themselves for Herschel, but I don't think they're going to go that route. And I only think that because there was no other reason to bring Ginny in. Ginny is there so that she can be a plot point, a crisis point for the other characters, Maggie and Negan. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I would like to see everybody survive the 6 episodes. I have a feeling that's not what they're going to do. And I'll be okay with it as long as it's done well. If it's not done well, I'll be pissed. But that remains to be seen. There are 2 episodes left. So, and Negan doesn't even know Ginny's there yet. So we're going to have to see how it goes. But for now, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back to review the next episode once it's released. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.